All right. We have a quorum. I'm going to call the City of Groton Committee of the Whole for Monday, June 25th, 2018 to order. Clerk Patrick, please call the roll.
Present are Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Lawrence Garrish, Councilors Jill Rusk, Jamal Beckford, Stephen Sheffield, Guinevere Depot, Rashad Carter, Finance Director Ron Uhas, who's in the audience at the moment, and City Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Okay. We're going to start out with a presentation. We're going to start with 699. This is the PAF Pollution Abatement Facility Sewer System Uses presentation. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin Sini.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Mayor, councilors. Today we have the pleasure of our dock attendant, who's actually Kelsey Reed's younger brother, Jared. You've seen some of her presentations before and the fine work she's done for us. He's currently our dock attendant. He's attending the University of Avery Point, and he's been studying water and wastewater while he's down there waiting for the boats to come in. So what he's done is kind of a prelim of what we're going to do for City Day, and he's going to discuss the non-flushable and the things that are giving us problems in the collection system. So without further ado, Jared.
Hello, my name is Jared Reeves. I am a member of the WPAF wastewater treatment staff, and I am currently pursuing a degree in environmental science, along with certification to become a wastewater treatment plant operator. I have arranged a presentation here today that will be given at the City of Groton Day to raise public awareness for the dangers of disposing certain products through our sewage system. My goal is to better advise why these products cannot be flushed, rather than simply stating not to, as I feel a deeper understanding of the consequences of flushing these products will better motivate the public to not flush these products in the future. Today, I pose the question, which of these products do you believe can be safely flushed down the toilet? We will begin from the left to the right, and I will ask you every step of the way, and then compare the answers to further understand why these products can or cannot be flushed. To begin, we will start with baby wipes. Baby wipes, sanitation wipes, and cleaning wipes cannot be flushed down the toilet as they are made of a material that cannot be broken down. And you can see the type of damage that they can do within this image of what baby wipes look like coming out of the treatment plant when the operators hand pull them. These wipes are not biodegradable, meaning no matter how long they remain submerged in water, the material does not weaken. Wastewater treatment plants are not equipped with the measures to deal with these thick material, meaning these wipes can damage treatment equipment, cause clogs within the system, and cost the city millions in both repairs and the time of employees tasked with fixing these damages. The staff of the City of Groton wastewater treatment plant can attest to the plethora of wipes that they have hand-pulled out of the plant's pipes and equipment. These wipes are flushed all too frequently. And this can be easily avoided by discarding used wipes within the trash can. I would also like to note how many products that list their wipes as flushable are not. Many studies have been done that show that these wipes can still cause damage within our septic system, and these products should be flushed. They should be thrown away, never flushed. The next product I would like to ask your opinion on is tooth flossers. Do you believe that tooth flossers can safely be flushed down the drain?
No.
The correct answer is no. Tooth flossers, and floss in general, can appear harmless, but these Teflon and nylon products do not break down or weaken over time. These plastic flossers can lead to equipment damage, and the floss can ball up, no problem, can ball up and collect with other loose miscellaneous items within the septic system, creating thick tangled knots that obstruct the flow. I'll just place it back. Good. Yes, thank you. Create thick tangled knots that obstruct flow and jam equipment, such as within this image that I have presented. Being passed around, sorry. Operators of the plant have to manually remove these clogs, which are rather disgusting and unfortunate common occurrence. As you can see, the loose debris within the sewage system can get wrapped around with the floss and become a very thick, tangled knot, as presented within that image. The next product I would like to question you on is whether or not you believe grease and oil can safely be flushed down your drains.
No.
No.
Yes.
I was gonna say yes.
That's unfortunate. Please don't. Please refrain. Now, while this one may have been a little bit obvious, the purpose of my presentation is to explain why it cannot be flushed. And I'd like to preference this next substance with the fact that not only what you flush down the toilet leads to our septic system, but also what you dump down the drain. And this is frequently found in the drains. Grease, which is a fat inside a liquid state when heated and solid state when cooled, is one of the leading causes of septic damage, whether it be in a citizen's pipes or the city's pipes. Grease and oil, which are fat-based, can mix with other loose chemicals within the city's septic system, creating chemical mixtures that solidify and clump along the inner walls of pipes, creating a larger pressure as the area for flow decreases, and inevitably leads to broken pipes and manhole cover overflows as depicted within this image. Thank you. These problems are very severe because grease and oil are difficult to clean from the pipes. It is a hard product to remove, so by raising public awareness and decreasing the likelihood of these scenarios from happening, we are avoiding a problem that right now is very difficult to fix, as it is hard to remove grease once it's already been built within the pipes. And you never know exactly where the clog is because it spreads along the whole pipe. Where one area may rupture, grease is still building up in another area. And it's the ignorance of people flushing these products that leads to this happening. And by raising public awareness, we can decrease its occurrence. And in the end, save the city millions of dollars from repairs that don't have to be done. The next product I'd like to question you on is one that's a very high concern. Do you believe that medication can be safely flushed down your toilet?
No.
Yes, it cannot. Yes, you are correct. Let me clarify. I'm sorry. But yes, medication cannot be flushed down your toilet. And I'd like to preference this one with a simple truth, that maybe not every medication is harmful. But I will ask for questions and recommendations at the end. Is that okay?
Okay, good.
Thank you. No disrespect, though. Not every medication may be harmful, but no medication should be flushed down the toilet as a rule of thumb, as the impact that it could have is unknown, and you never know what kind of things could present the worst kind of damage. Medication within our water is a concern within the field of wastewater treatment, and new methods and techniques are being perfected to remove these dissolved medications from our water source. But as of now, our technology is ineffective at removing these toxic substances from our water supply for a various number of chemicals. Medications that are flushed down the toilet can often pass through our septic system, through our treatment plant, and land inside oceans and rivers, where the medication can poison aquatic life. These tainted animals can become sick or be killed by the medications they intake through the water, or poison the next animal that consumes them within the food chain, which includes us. Types of medication and the potential dangers they possess vary widely, meaning the consequences of flushing these medications can be massive, and we must refrain from flushing these medications as they are harmful to the earth, our water supply, and our neighbors. The next product I'd like to question you on is, forgiven, a little bit simple, but I believe it's still worth going over why it is for what it is. Do you believe toilet paper can safely be flushed down the toilet?
Yes.
Correct. Why toilet paper can be flushed is what's important. You see, toilet paper is a product that deteriorates within water, meaning it breaks down entirely and is easily removed by our treatment plant. Toilet paper is truly the only product we should be flushing down our drains. We hope to educate the public why toilet paper is the only product we can flush, and hopefully cut down the presence of these other products within our sewage system. Now, in conclusion, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and any feedback is more than welcome to better this presentation for the public on City of Groton Day. We are each individually responsible for doing our part in maintaining the infrastructure of the city's sewage system. We must be smart with what we flush down the drain. I hope you've gained some new knowledge here today on why certain products cannot be flushed, emphasis on why. And I deeply appreciate you giving me your time here today. I will now accept questions and recommendations.
Can I start by just saying great job?
Yeah,
Very good.
Thank you. Sorry about the brief slip up. I plan to pass it along after I noted what was on the image.
Sorry.
Yeah, I feel bad because Yeah, that was it though.
Oh, you got something to say? Oh, okay.
Does anyone have anything? Councilor Carter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Couple questions.
Of course.
What about, and I don't know if you answered or whatnot, because some people may have questions about like the flushable wipes that say flushable.
Yes, I did mention it briefly, but I plan to really hammer this home in the public.
The public, okay, all right.
Because I feel like this is a common misconception that is a serious problem.
Okay.
While big companies may label their products as flushable, and they may even have a study or two showing where they could flush the pipe in this one instance and it worked out fine. On a greater scale, it has been seen that these products do tend to clog just as any other product would because they're not built to break down the way the toilet paper is built to break down. These thick materials become a serious problem because the public is misinformed and they're led to believe that they can flush these products effectively when in truth they're doing damage to their system and the city system, which can create big problems. So by addressing that issue, I hope to cut down the presence of it.
I got you. And then you may want to, I don't know, this is a suggestion, you may have answered already. You may want to put maybe paper towels like just before toilet paper because a lot of people may or may not use
group
paper
them
towel.
together.
You know what I mean?
No, that's a good suggestion. I probably will actually do that for the city of Groton Day because that is a valid suggestion. I feel like that would actually very much improve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then one more of a statement.
Of course.
Good? Sure?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. One more statement. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. What would you? This is just a question. Just talking. What do you think? Because as adults, like we're looking at this, we're looking at the presentation, but I think a lot of the problem is, you know, my 10-year-old kid that can flush something down the toilet, right? So what, or possibly my you know, my 3-year-old for that matter, that, you know.
Yeah.
So what would you do to is there something that you think you could do, somebody that won't be receptive to something like this or a presentation like this, or may think it's boring, like the littler, you know, like the
the younger kids.
Yeah. What do you think you could do to stop them from saying, no, you can't flush this down the toilet? Is there something that you physically could put on the, you know, what are your ideas?
I see what you're saying, and I think that the best way to handle that is inside two approaches. The first approach is obviously targeting the parents. Through this presentation, I chose some products that were a little bit simpler and more common knowledge because I feel that this is easier to present because they already know the answer and they're more receptive to the why, which is what I wanted to emphasize on. And the why is something that kids may not have a strong understanding of because obviously they're much younger. They're not thinking about, you know, what is grease going to do inside of a pipe. That's not the kind of thing they're thinking about.
Yeah.
I think that this purpose of this particular presentation is to educate the parents, give them an understanding to pass down to their kids.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'd have to talk to the kids and kind of set up a different
that's why I wasn't trying to prove that with this. I was just talking like,
yes,
excluding this. Like, what would your?
I would want to do something more interactive, something not necessarily this like just one flip. I want to do something that's maybe more almost like a storybook kind of thing, or just multiple flips about different products, and try to use more color, more vibrant images, something a little bit more pleasing to the eye, like a presentation or something on a PowerPoint. If I were to target a younger audience.
Cool.
Councilor Depot?
I was just gonna say, if we were trying to target kids, it might be fun at City Day if you had like a toilet and a trash can and like a bunch of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and then have the kids choose which one, and then you can correct them when they put it in the wrong place.
And that'd be a good way of teaching the kids too,
fun.
and that is more interactive.
Throw stuff
You get
in
candy
the
if you
toilet.
put it in the wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'll actually use that. That's a great idea.
there you go.
That's a great way to introduce the kids. And we usually do a raffle. I mean, I was thinking if they participate for that kind of thing, that'd just be a ticket to the raffle that we do every year. And that would be a good way to also get some more activity.
Sure. Councilor Rusk?
My only suggestions would be I would address feminine products. And then in addition, we have a medication drop-off at the police department. So I would include that information so people know where they are supposed to
Yes.
deposit medication, because it used to be that you were supposed to flush them down the toilet, which is how we all got to this point. But to give the information of where it can go.
Yes, I actually was informed of that by the mayor today, and I plan to include that in my final presentation. I actually wasn't aware of that until today. So I do plan to note that to the public, because I feel like that is something that is a little bit more obscure, and if we raise the awareness of it, we would hopefully decrease medication in the water, which is actually one of the greatest concerns we have in this moment, because, I mean, we're in the age of technology, but we're not that level yet. We're not to the point where we can take out such minuscule particles that in the end still remain in the water and still reach our fish. And it has a much more larger environmental impact that I don't think that people are thinking about when they just dump their, whatever's left of their Vicodin prescription or such into the toilet.
Thank you.
To reiterate Councilor Russ' point, if you come to the police station and go to dispatch, there is a container there where you can safely dispose of all your medications, whether they're over the counter and you don't need them, or whether they're prescriptions, you can dispose of them there. Does anyone else have anything? Another thing I was thinking about when you were talking about the grease, if you think about it, grease is not good for us either, right? Because of cholesterol. If you think of the grease going in the pipe as liquid, then when it gets cold, it solidifies and is clinging to the pipes. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same
Right?
as
It's
cholesterol.
like it's clogging the arteries of a sewer system. Same thing, which restricts flow, and you could have backups and have damage to the pipes. And here's the other thing: when we talk about flushable and non-flushable, there's a whole lot of things that will go down the toilet. But just because you can put it in the toilet and pull the handle and it goes away, doesn't mean it should be in that toilet. You can flush a golf ball, right? You can flush candles. I mean, all kinds of things.
Even clothing products.
Right. I mean, I've been told that people have put kitty litter in which doesn't quite make sense to me, but these are the kinds of things. So what happens is, down the road, when it gets down to the pollution abatement facility, and it's got to be cleaned out, and either we mechanically clean it, and sometimes these if you take that baby wipe right there now, just do me a favor, pull that baby wipe out.
Of course, sir.
Okay, now pull on that baby wipe. Okay,
Towards the camera.
if you pull on that baby wipe is not starting to rip. Why is that?
Because
Baby
of the
wipes and
material.
things like that have nylon and plastic embedded in them to make them durable. So they're durable. So you see what he's having, how much pressure he's having to do. So imagine a bunch of these things getting together and clogging up the station and clogging up and bending the fingers on the pipes. I mean, not the pipes, but on the machine that are coming in. One of the things that we may end up having to do, if we're not able to solve this, is we may have to buy a different kind of machine that grinds this up into fine products. But you're talking somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000 for this machine, and that's not chump change. So before we just start throwing things in the toilet because it goes away when we hit the handle, we need to understand what really should be flushed and what shouldn't be flushed, and that's why I wanted to have this presentation. Anything else from the council? Councilor Sheffield.
Have we, I think we spoke previously about distributing literature amongst the city residents to make them aware of what can be flushed and not flushed down our toilets. It's possible, can we start that trend again, I guess, as a reminder to our residents as
Sure.
to,
We
have
have,
us send a letter out to our residents?
well, I don't know if we're going to send a letter. We
Like a
have
leaflet, so to
done
speak.
that before, and it may be time to do that again.
That's
So-
that would
Yep.
be my, just in case, like I said, not everybody will be attending City Day, so those who
Right.
will not attend
Un-
need to stay informed as
Okay.
well.
Understand.
Yep.
Anything else from anyone? All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very
Thank
much
you for your
appreciated.
time. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you all listening to me.
Okay, we'll let you pick up, and then we'll go. Our next presentation will be 698, which is a CAFR overview / auditor presentation. So Director Uhas will bring you up.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
For the council and for the audience, this is the first committee of the whole that we've had since the budget and since the CAFR was produced. The CAFR came out this year late, and as the senior executive official of the city, I take full responsibility for that. I did not have the procedures and policies and protocols in place adequately to ensure that we met the deadlines that we needed to meet, so that all of the wickets were met, all the deadlines were met, so that all of the records could be audited. As a result, I wanted to, at our first meeting after the budget, which is this meeting, we're going to talk about it. I have the finance director and we have the auditor. We're going to talk about what kind of things led to this, and what we're going to do differently so that this doesn't happen again in the future. Okay, that's why I wanted to address it at our first meeting. I didn't want to let it linger, and I didn't want people to wonder what is going on and whether or not what led to the delay. I do want to ensure that people understand, and you'll find out from this, that there was nothing nefarious going on. There was no sleight of hand or anything like that. It was a mistake with the missing of the deadlines. And then our auditor also has other business, meaning during tax season, and you know how busy people are during tax season. But with that, I'll turn it over to Director Uhas.
And I believe, as the councilor is aware, the finance department was short a person for over a year, which kind of led to some backups in our department. With that, we have deadlines with the auditors. We sit down beforehand. We schedule dates that fit their schedule that we shoot for. Unfortunately, we missed those deadlines as far as from finance for certain pieces of the CAFR, which then put the audit team behind schedule. So once they had it, they had to try to revamp their schedule to get us back in. And as the mayor said, it's just the timing of things sometimes is harder than it seems like it should be.
Yeah, I guess for the record, my name's Scott Bassett. I'm an audit partner with the RSM. And we do numerous cities throughout the state. And when there's delays, and, how do we get there? The best thing is how do you fix that? And how can we get so next year we're issuing this thing within the timeline? And my suggestion is that the course of the audit pretty much goes like this. We do a planning stage in the summer, say July and August. We can do our preliminary work as finance and the utilities and the enterprise funds are closing out. So we can do a lot of preliminary work, which we did last July. Then the course of the audits, we go in, the utility has a deadline to follow a state report. I think that's October 1st, October 15th, somewhere in that timeline. And we do the bulk of our audit work then. And then Ron will come back with the governmental funds, and there's some third-party information out there with pension and OPEB the actuaries have to give to us, and we have to go through that process. And we were pretty much on track as we got through the utilities and things, but then a part of the CAFR are things like capital assets, which you don't get quarterly reporting on. It's basically pulled together at the end of the year. So as Ron mentioned, there's windows of time. We set our schedule, just like if you were building a house, we set a schedule, and if it goes A, B, C, and D, we can accomplish our goal. But once we're missing an integral part of that, it's hard for us to come in and complete this 140-page document. And then, like everything else, we could do municipal work, and most audit firms can do municipal work, probably up to January 15th would be the latest date. And then starts the commercial season where we have made other commitments to clients to come in and do that work. But how do we remedy it? In my feeling, we get before you other than just once a year. And how it's worked in other communities is that we could meet and talk about the plan, the audit timelines, where we are on the same page as deliverable dates. Then midway through that would probably be like October 15th, October 30th, right around that section. You have us come in again and give you an update. How are we doing with the audit, and where are we? Are we on track? And when we've done that in the past with other clients, it seems to work really, really well. Communication is open. If there is the delay, whether it be a third-party delay or something like that, you know upfront about that. And to me, I think that opens up the lines, and there's no surprises. You know, we're getting our extensions signed and we're going along, but I really think it's important that we have a face-to-face meeting and ask why. And as Ron mentioned, he was down staff for the year. And quite honestly, when we start in July and it comes to April or May when we start again, we could have turnover and just kind of, you know, doing things, duplicating things because you've had that 6 months worth of time that you got to refresh your memory of what you did. And just to kind of give you an overall broad picture of the audit takes somewhere between 750 to 800 man hours to get the document out from our side, and that's not counting the time that's used from the accounting staff within the city. So it's not something that you can come in a week and turn it over and there it goes. We have review processes that we go internally and getting those folks involved. So it is quite an undertaking. So my suggestion is that we come back, Ron and I, at maybe with your next meeting with the schedule of what we're going to do and when we will meet with you folks to say, are we on schedule as we go through the process of the audit? I think that would be the best remedy as far as no surprises. And maybe, you know, everybody then, once you communicate that you're going to do something, it's a lot easier to sometimes to make those deadlines.
Questions? Councilor Deep.
So do we have a date in mind for next year that we're planning that we would like to have our goal date for it to be done?
Yeah, I mean, it's without an extension, you have the December 31st of the following year. So our goal would be December 15th, because we'd like to get it done before the holidays.
Okay, any other councilors? Any other, Councilor Sheffield?
Ron, how many bids have been submitted for this? Or
This was bid. This will be the 4th year that we're going out, and we put a bid out 4 years ago for a 5-year. Okay, so this is the 4th year of that 5-year.
Okay, so the bid will end as of.
There's 1 more year left in the RFP that we issued.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for either one?
And how
Councilor?
much, and what is the amount, I guess, would that be, what's the dollar amount of the?
I think it's 56-ish.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere in the between 55 and 60, somewhere in there. And I don't remember offhand where the proposal is.
So we'll get a definitive figure to be brought before us to.
Yeah, I can bring the figure to you.
Okay.
I can make you a copy of that proposal
Okay.
that we did. With the
Any other questions or comments? With that, I will take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of July 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Did you?
There's 2 separate pieces. Scott was going to kind of give you a quick overview of the CAFR and the financials. And then with this piece, you can carry forward with this as far as appointing of the auditor.
Well, that's what I was going to do, and then let you finish with
Yeah.
the CAFR. Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We're missing one counselor.
I'm sorry? Oh.
Counselor Beckford stepped
Oh,
up.
I see it stepped out.
Shall we?
Are you
It's a majority anyway.
you good? No, you.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
me.
Clark Patrick, are you?
Well, we can just say that he had stepped out for the vote. so-
Yep. So for the counselors remaining, we have a unanimous vote. Okay. Director Yost, I'll turn it back over to you to continue with the CAFR.
Actually, we're going to let Scott kind of
Okay.
go through
Okay.
some of the
Scott?
highlights
Yeah.
of the year. Just kind of touch up. There's extra copies here. I know we did give them out. There's some feeling the copy.
You can share them.
So we come in as your audit firm, as external auditors, independent of management, and come in to give an opinion on the financial statements to state whether they're materially correct. And the city received a clean, unmodified opinion in the current year. One of the things that, before we started into the numbers, we talked a little bit about the delay, but once everything was pulled together and given to us for audit, it was accurate. I mean, there weren't many adjusting entries made. It was just the timeliness of coming in. So I just want to be on the record for that, because as an auditor, if it was late and we were making a ton of audit adjustments, then that risk factor would be up here, and there'd be a reason for concern other than just timeliness. There's something about accuracy. And the things that the Ron and both at the utility department that provided to us were accurate. And there weren't many audit adjustments made to that, other than year-end audit adjustments that we would expect to do based on late third-party information coming in. So I just want to be clear with that. We are independent with the city. We do nothing other than the audit as we come in and opine on these financial statements. We have had open communication with management. Basically anything that we've asked for, we've received. If we needed additional documentation, we received that. So as far as the audit goes and the processing of documents, I would consider that a clean audit, other than the timeliness a little bit. And then we look at, okay, the financial results of the city for this fiscal year ended June 30, 2017. And there's a couple of measurements, and there's some new faces here this year, so I'll try to go a little slow on it as we go through some key numbers as you go through the budget process. So if you could turn to page 15 of the audit report. So this, on page 15, is a snapshot really of what your assets and your liabilities were on the modified accrual basis of accounting as of June 30, 2017. In your general fund, which is your main operating fund within the town, you have a fund balance of $4.8 million. And that represents about 31% of your total general fund expenditures for the year. Now, the bigger number, what's in there, is what we call unassigned fund balance. And that is unassigned fund balance for the year, and it was at 25% of your general fund expenditures. In addition to that, as you adopted the 18 budget, which is coming to an end, you had anticipated using, in this fiscal year, $451,000. So those are your brackets of your operating income. So if you were to say, what did we have on a modified accrual basis of accounting as of June 30th, 2017? That's kind of where you look from an operating standpoint. And within the city, just not talking about the utilities at this point, that's your main fund. And so, in what impacts that, it could be charges for services, if we have any storms and expenditures and additional appropriations. So you look at that at 25%, and the next question you would probably ask me, do you think it's adequate? Is it high or is it low? But really that's not a reflection of what we do as your auditors. That's more of a management decision of where you want to keep that. So in my standpoint, the city's in good fiscal health. There are no aggressive accounting policies or procedures that are being used within the city, and those were the end results within that operating budget. So when you talk about general fund, and a lot of times for newly elected officials, there's a class that's provided, and general fund is, when we talk about fund balance, that's kind of what they're talking about. As you go to rating agencies, what's the health of that? But more importantly to me with the general fund is managing that fund balance, having an idea of kind of where you want to be and how you manage it from year to year. So that would be, as you go through that process, keep in mind what's your target and how are we managing to that target.
Where did you say we were?
25%.
Okay, our rating agency has suggested that we be between 20 and 25% due to the dependence on the number one and number two taxpayer in our community. And we are at the top of that now. So we are in good shape. I am correct, right?
Yeah, we've been working to get there for the last few years.
And we even disclose, that's a great point. A little unique here is two taxpayers being, such a large volume of your collections. That's why if you compare this 25% to maybe another city, you'd say, well, ours appears high, but your reliance on two significant taxpayers judges that. So that's why management and why the reason for it isn't really important. From an operational standpoint, turning to page 16, The city did increase its fund balance in the general fund by almost $1 million in the current year. Ron, I don't know if you want to speak to the specifics of the driver of that increase.
The biggest driver of that was the highway funding. And then we did come in under budget from the expenditure standpoint on what was budgeted versus actual.
Turning to page 19. The electric and water department are your enterprise funds. Your enterprise funds work as a true business type entity. They're setting fees to match expenses and depreciation. And at the end of the year, the fund balance in the electric fund was 13.7, and the water department was 32.7. And what really makes the most of that up is your assets, right? A lot of times with the assets, both in the electric and water, we can get grants to build those, and they help with that impact. But overall, both the water, the water, the electrical, your general fund, and even your internal service funds had positive results in the current year. So, very good fiscal results in all categories. As we look at, as a rating agency would come in and look at these items, they would say very favorable, I would believe, based on the results of the end of the year. And none of these numbers really should be a surprise, as I said, there was very few audit adjustments that happened in the current year. Turning to page 24. Page 24, the city sets assets aside, investments aside within its pension trust fund to pay for your future benefits of your accrued pension liabilities. That fund ended the year with $84.5 million. And a couple things I'd like to talk about that, as we talk about pension liabilities and funding levels. Your funding level for your pension plan is about 93%. As I said, I do a lot of large cities across the state, and that's right up there as far as with the best, even like my communities in Fairfield County as far as their funding level goes. So that's a very strong funding level. Another item when you go to the rating agencies that they would look at and look favorably at. In the current year, or excuse me, in 17, your rate of return on your investments was just above 11%, which is a solid return. In 16, it was at 1 or 2%, but that's really what it is now. Is it's a measurement of a certain date. So if you look at your portfolio, making the 11%, it's about where most communities were for the fiscal year ending 17. But where differentiates the city of Groton is your funded level at almost 93, 94%. So again, making having that discipline to make those required contributions each year, which isn't a state law to do that. And if you look at other communities, they haven't done it. But here in Groton, you have, and at that 94% level, again, I always equate that to discipline, staying within the budget, and making sure, it's almost like a debt payment. I have to pay that payment and get it in there. So I think that's certainly a positive. Those are the main items I was going to talk about, but I would tell you, within this CAFR, Ron writes in the front of the book a management discussion and analysis, and it's really a clip note version of what happened during the year in a narrative format, so you're not flipping back and forth between the whole document. If you read that management discussion and analysis, it's really going to touch upon the things that I just talked about this evening: fund balance, debt, your pension plans. And prior to that, there's a transmittal letter that talks about what could happen in the future and what's happening. So, there's a lot of numbers in this 140-page document. But if you look at those two narratives in the front of the document, I would guide you there before you dive in and look at everything else. That really tells the story, as it should, within the city. So that was really my presentation as far as where I wanted to highlight some things. I know the internal service fund has turned around, which we talked about a couple years ago. That was in a deficit, and you've turned that around. That's your health self-insurance plan, and that was a positive too. So that was my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Council, do you have any questions or comments for Scott? Okay, Scott, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Ron, if you'll stay right there, we have one more.
Have a nice night.
Okay, we're gonna go to 702, which is the donation request, Riverfront Children's Center. Since Ron's here. Riverfront is requesting donations. We have the ability to provide donations. We have given out donations this year. We've given $1,000 to Art on Groton Bank, $500 Groton Bank Day, and we gave money to Bill.
So far, we've done 3,000 of donations out of this fund based on the resolution allows up to a max of 5. We've done 1,000 to Children's First, the 1,000, like the mayor said, to Art on Groton Bank, 500 to Groton Bank Day, and 500 to Special Olympics. So we're at a total of 3,000 for the year.
Do we know what we gave Riverfront last year?
I don't recall offhand, but I believe it was 1,000 if I remember correctly.
I'm thinking that.
That's what I kind of remember,
Yeah.
but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, that sounded to me like what we did last year.
And that is the max that you can do based on the resolution. And just for clarification with the resolution, the timing, I think the resolution has it per fiscal year, and based on the timing of this being approved really in the next fiscal year, but I think the intent of this with the letter being dated this fiscal year ending 18, I think we're safe to say that it's really an 18 donation, even if it doesn't go out until fiscal 19.
I was going to ask, do we have enough money to do the same thing this year?
Yeah, we have 2,000 left.
I move we donate $1,000. I know this needs to go to the next meeting, but I would say we should donate $1,000.
Okay.
Too.
So do we have a consensus for $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take a motion to move this to the parent council meeting of of August 2nd. Not August, sorry. July 2nd.
I would second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next thing is 703, which is the easement of the William Seeley School. Ray Valentini is here to talk about that.
What are we looking at?
703,
I know, but are we?
there's a memorandum from Barbara to me regarding the easement, but I'm going to let Ray talk about it because the easement is part of where we're building the new water tower, the 2.2 million gallon water tower up the William Seeley School. If you have not been up there recently, you need to go up there. It is pretty impressive. I went up there the other day when they were putting the panels up, and now it is up. They're going to be putting cables around to pre-stress it. Then they'll be putting the gonite on the outside, gonite on the inside, and then they will build the the roof from the inside. They're going to erect scaffolding and build it there. That was one of the reasons that they came in cheaper, is instead of having a large roof that they had to move, then they're actually going to build it in place, which is pretty impressive. But so now that everybody has their drawings, Ray, I'll let you talk about this easement.
Thank you. I do have a cold, so this is the best my voice does. Up on the top, you'll see the yellow. That's the easement part. Okay, right now, the town of Groton has an easement for a sidewalk, which says the bituminous concrete at the top next to the wall. They're asking for a 50-foot easement for a driveway, which for the Seeley School or whatever happens to that property. If you look at it, we have the existing tank that will be demolished when the new tank is done. So why we're doing the easement part is, and not giving the land away, is because we get to put, say, I don't know, 50 years from now, whatever, we can put another tank next to it without going for any variances or anything. So this won't bother the landscape, won't bother us, and it will also help with this is at the top of the hill of Walker Hill Road. So when people come out of the driveway, you can look left and right and see a good portion of the road. If they came out at Sealy School, you're looking at a three-way, four-way intersection, plus if you try to look up the hill, there's gonna be a wall there, so you won't be able to see. So this helps out for that development, whatever happens with that land. And working with the town, I think it's best for everybody to have this go through. It's only 50 feet, and we'll put a fence up at our line, or the town will, we'll work with them. And it's just a little road for an access.
This is something that has been in the works for a few months now. The town has been working with Groton Utilities, and the one thing this will do, this will give them access to that additional access to that Williams Sealy property, and will give them, give the town additional options in the development of that property. So, and this is another thing where the city and town, and GU in this case, are working together to forge relationships. Councilor Rusk.
Has anyone spoken to the homeowner that's right there? There's that house.
It's the block building.
Right.
That is there.
I mean, is it a
Don't
home
know
or
if
is it
they-
a garage? I'm not even sure what it is.
It's a home business type of facility there. I know the town talked to them,
Okay.
because at one point they tried, I think they were trying to buy that property, and it didn't work out, so.
Okay.
It has gone through the planning and zoning, the 824, the Connecticut General Statute 824 hearing, and there were no concerns associated with our ordinances or our requirements here. So that it is acceptable for us to continue.
So the answer to that is no. No one has spoken to the homeowner about this
No,
specifically, or
the
they
town-
Oh, we haven't talked about them about the easement. They talked to them about
taking.
taking the house, but yes, but
Okay.
no, I don't think anybody has.
Okay.
We haven't here.
No, I can ask the town if they have, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Any other?
Just concern. I mean, it will affect that home. I think it's just appropriate to at least give them a heads up.
Well, eventually, I agree, but eventually, if you look at the big plans, that home will eventually be purchased and will go away and be incorporated into part of this larger parcel.
I think at the time of a developer, or whenever they do that school, because they won't do anything with this land right away until something happens. Probably go over there and talk to them then, and give them the whole broad picture instead of going over and said there's gonna be easement, because there's a easement of 15 foot for a walkway there now that the kids used to walk and still do because they use the school for summer activities.
Okay.
So,
I will reach out to the town manager tomorrow to get the answer to this,
Thank you.
and then I will get in touch with the counselors. Councilor Depot, did you have a?
Nope.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. Then I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of July 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously.
thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Also, on a footnote to Jared's, he had a stoppage on Eastern Plant Road that had wipes in it last week, so we continued that.
Okay, we will go to 700, which is the interlocal agreement trip. And we'll get Barbara to come up. And before Barbara starts, I think you guys are aware, but in the event that you're not, Barbara will be leaving us at the end of this month. And this is her last presentation. Well, the next one will be her last presentation, but this is the last time she will appear before the council.
You all have this already?
Yes.
Okay, all right. As you all know, we're involved with the Thames River Innovation Places with the town of Groton, the city of Groton, and the city of New London. And as part of that, we have a specific project, the city of Groton, within the overall TRIP umbrella. That project is the redevelopment, so-called redevelopment placemaking project, although I think there's rumor has it that they're going to change the name. But it is a connection to do a redevelopment, extensive redevelopment plan of Thames Street, taking a look at the physical infrastructure surrounding the bike gateway across the bridge, both at the Bridge Street and on the Hodges Square side of New London. And that's going to tie to a Hodges Square redevelopment of that area, specifically kind of focused on transportation. As we proceeded to work together, the two communities, we needed to flesh out how that was going to work. We're getting some money through the TRIP grant, the Innovation Places grant. The city of Groton, or the city of New London, is getting money through the federal government for a substantial grant, and also getting some donations and from a private nonprofit entity that's been formed to just kind of spearhead the Hodges Square revitalization, as well as Connecticut College. So we needed to flesh out how we were going to work together. So we decided to develop this interlocal agreement, and that's what this is. What you have before you is almost the final draft. There are some minor tweaks left with regard to how we word the issue with arbitration and litigation. Because of course we all can foresee the city of New London and the city of Groton suing each other in court. But just in case, we have to have that language. And the two attorneys, the city attorney for Groton and the city attorney for New London, have hashed it out, and we're finally getting down to the wire. But it's really going to just be a language tweak. New London anticipates the interlocal agreement going to their city council on July 16th. So I wanted, before I left, to bring this to you and get you to at least forward it off to the city council and answer any of your questions.
So this is just looking at infrastructure. I'm just trying to understand infrastructure surrounding the Groton City portion where the bike path.
It also is going to provide grant funds to hire a redevelopment consultant that's going to come in, and the request for proposals for that is done. I wanted to finish that before I left. So that's done, and we're going to go out for a bid to bring somebody in who will look at Thames Street from a redevelopment plan, looking at a parcel by parcel basis. The way we kind of looked at the redevelopment plan was to have this focused on real estate and real estate investment and the highest and best uses for properties, rather than just streetscape improvements and things like that, all within respecting the historic boundaries of Groton Bank. As part of that, though, we're going to tie it to, we're going to continue the work looking up Thames Street as it turns the corner to Bridge all the way to that gateway, which is right there at the exit ramp from the bridge. And it's an extremely, I ride that a lot and run it a lot, and it's an extremely uninviting place to come into, and we'd like to make it better. And it's also somewhat difficult to find on the New London side. It's not as uninviting, but it's very hard to find.
Right.
So this would tie the two together and perhaps enhance that multi-use path over the bridge and make it more usable so that we can link both sides of the bridge. If there's an event, maybe a food truck festival on both sides of the bridge, people can go back and forth without getting in their cars.
Councilor
Sorry.
Sheffield, you had your hand up.
Now, this doesn't affect the construction work that's actually on the bridge. This is just only
No.
off the bridge itself.
Yes,
and-
it has to, yeah, it can't take place on the bridge because
Right.
that's technically owned by DOT and
Okay.
controlled by them, yeah. But this would look at what changes each city can make to enhance the experience on their property. And we have substantially more of that bike path on our city than New London does.
Yeah, we have two entrances, right? One, oh gosh, it's, yeah, there's one right by
Yes.
Bridge Street,
Yeah.
and then there's the other one.
That loops around. And,
Yeah, you know, yeah, I've ridden my bike over the bridge, and it could probably use some lighting back there. Because I've come
a
back.
lot of lighting.
Yeah, come back later than I expected, and by the time I make it over the bridge, it's dark, and I don't know what's out there, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was actually hit up twice by people who were living under the bridge at the time, who came and went after me for whatever I had. Luckily, I was on a bike and could go faster than they could, but
Right.
it was intimidating.
I'm sure.
So,
Any other, Councilor Sheffield?
The division of, I guess as far as spending on, with this collaboration between, is it going to be a 50-50 split?
it's
How is that gonna be?
totally, no, and it's not really a split. It's really difficult. They got a huge grant of almost $800,000 from the federal government for a transportation road and project. And that is what they're partnering with Conn College with. And as part of that, they're going to increase streetscapes, bike racks, make it more pedestrian friendly down there, maybe some shuttle services, and try to get the Coast Guard Academy kids and Conn College kids to utilize that space more and walk down there. So that's that. And then we are taking about $200,000 from the grant itself for the, I hate to put it, the City of Groton's portion of it, but that redevelopment plan is going to be 99% focused on New London, with the exception that they will do some real estate and parcel analysis on both sides of the river as part of that.
Yeah, our money's gonna be spent over here, their money's gonna be spent over there. And when we're done, we're done, and when they're done, they're done. They just happen to have a larger purse in this particular case than we do.
So does
Because
that
we have
mean-
different funding sources.
That means we got a couple $100,000?
Yes.
Yes, we requested that will pay for the contract with
The
the
study.
request for a proposal for the consultant.
So there wouldn't be anything left?
Jeez, that's just a start.
No, it's
To
going
do
to take, between that and the attorneys, that's going to take it all.
Yeah. So there wouldn't be any money left to do anything other than do a study?
No, that would be phase two. The Innovation Places is a several multi-phased grant. We got money in the first. We don't need money in the second year. Some of the projects did and took money in the second year as well because they were expanding. We need to get this request for proposal done and get the work started, and then look at
I see.
year
Okay.
3 as going back to the well,
Yeah.
if you will, for some more additional funding.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting
I'll move it.
of
Second.
July 2nd.
Yep, I'll move it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll also go to 701, which is the TIF district proposed boundaries.
I don't know.
we got that too.
Oh, man, Heidi.
Yes, the map.
Gee, she's too efficient. I just killed another tree. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
We have a couple of things that are going on. First of all, we have the TIF policy that is currently in review with council. And then once that's done, it'll go back to Camoin for final edit. Then it'll go to the TIF advisory committee for final review, and then that will come to this council for approval, and then to town council for acceptance. Another part of that is what you have in front of you. These are the borders or the outline of the TIF district, TIF boundaries.
Yeah, if you remember, I brought this to you for a quick and dirty response, and there was some question about the boundaries and where they should be and whether they should be expanded to include the Sacred Heart campus, for example, which offers the opportunity for development not only in Sacred Heart, maybe decades in the future, but also this school at the end of West Street. as well as that Five Corners and the Thames Street area are two areas of focus that we'd like to sweeten the pot for developers if they want to come in. And the TIF is an excellent tool for that. And remember, a TIF, the way we've set it up is that it would take a developer $1 million just to putting $1 million into their project above and beyond the purchase of the property that they're interested in to even consider using TIF. So we're talking major development and major developer. So these two boundaries, the next step after the policy is, as the mayor said, is then a TIF master plan, and there will be a master plan specific to Five Corners and a master plan specific to Thames Street, Bridge Street area. And those two will discuss in detail what is going to happen in those two areas, where we see TIF being utilized and for what purposes. And it will also list each PIN number and each parcel. And the town assessor will go through that exercise. And that's critical because we can't have in each TIF anything more than 10% of the grand list. And our grand list is dependent on the town-wide grand list. So that's why it doesn't include EB, it doesn't include Pfizer, and that's for a very important reason.
Well, in addition to that, EB is also within the enterprise zone,
Yes.
and you can't do both.
You can't double dip. Yeah.
You can't do both.
So what I'd like, before we develop the master plan, clearly we want the boundaries set. So before setting the boundaries, I wanted to bring these back to you to ensure that we're on the right track with considering the boundaries. If there are tweaks you want made, we can do that. If they look good, we'll incorporate these into the master plan, which is the next step following the policy.
Councilor Sheffield.
Barbara, Secret Heart Drive, is that taxable property based on the church itself?
No.
So,
I believe
Okay.
Sacred Heart Drive is a city street. We
Okay.
plow it, we maintain it.
okay, so we're not dealing with the specific church property itself, just the street that that.
No,
Okay.
the property itself is included within those boundaries. So for example, if Sacred Heart decides to make us have a smaller presence and they want to split their lot in half and offer half of it for sale to a developer, then that developer could take advantage of being in the TIF district.
Councilor Rusk.
When I look at this, is this just the properties on Mitchell Street? Or are those also the properties on like Ledyard and Fleming?
No, it follows the rear property line of the properties on the west side of Mitchell that front on Mitchell.
Okay, thank you. And this little block is included or not included?
Oh, that actually is also following the rear property line, and that's the kind of jog it takes because of that corner. I
Okay.
apologize that when
No,
you
no, no,
blow it
just-
up bigger, it's a
It
little
makes
bit
sense.
more clearer, yeah.
Okay,
But
thank
yes,
you.
it's quite an attractive little squiggle. But
Okay. So that does not include that
That-
little area?
the inside of that kind of funny area that almost looks like a diamond,
Mhm.
the inside of that is excluded.
Okay,
It's those that go from there to the street, from the red line to the street that are included.
thank you.
Sure.
Welcome to the city.
Just trying to get an accurate
No,
understanding.
Absolutely. It almost looks like abstract art. Any other questions or comments on the boundaries? I do not need a motion, but I do need a consensus from the council as to your acceptance of these boundaries.
I'm for it.
Okay? Councilor Sheffield?
Is the roller skating rink property attached to the, is that
That
attached to
is
this map?
in the TIF.
It's in the map?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes up.
That's right about here?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to find
Right.
that.
Yeah, it's in the Thames Street, Bridge Street one.
Okay,
yes.
Right.
yep, I just wanted to see that.
Like that whole group there,
Yeah,
the Midas,
Oh,
the
here it is
brewery,
right there.
it goes up to the bridge.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Councilor Rusk?
one more question. Does this go down to the parking garage or to the building on EB, the
That
Thames
is,
Street
that
one?
incorporated at Jamal's suggestion, that incorporates, it comes around an EB property and goes around then that parking garage. So the parking garage, which is privately owned, is included in the Thames Street.
And that's the
Bridge Street tip.
southernmost tip there.
Yes,
Correct.
that
Okay.
is the southernmost little square.
Thank you.
Yeah, that actually is harder to draw than the 5 corners.
So we're good on this side, consensus on this side? Councilor Carter?
My neck hurts.
But are you okay, or,
You okay with this?
All right.
well, okay.
I'm good.
Why not? I know we don't
yes,
need a
I'm okay.
medic.
I'm
Are
good.
we
Yeah,
okay
I'm good.
as far as the
If I
consensus?
wasn't, I would have said I'm good.
I'm just checking. Okay, so we have our consensus.
Great.
Thank you, Barbara, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you for everything you
Yeah,
did.
good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, Barbara.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to 7:04, which is the retirement of Deputy Police Chief Michael Collat.
If we don't know, does he not get to retire?
No. You know,
How did that work?
we've talked about that, but, no, he's out of here. So he's out of here 1 July.
Scratch him.
But he has had tremendous contributions to the police force here since he's been here. He is one of the reasons that we are accredited as a police force. That was one of the things he was hired to do, to look at, and he has done that above and beyond. So, any discussion? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Any other discussion on this? Okay, I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of July 2nd.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Any hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimous. Okay, now we're gonna go back to referral number 1, which, let me get, my book is falling apart here. Okay. The first one is for Eric Jenkins, John Eric Jenkins, for police captain. You have talked to him during executive session, have met him, and we have a recommendation to appoint him as captain for the city of Groton, effective July 3rd. So, any discussion on this? Okay, we need a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of July 2nd.
I'll move it.
And I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Okay, I have, hold on. Robert Zuliani, you have, let me pass around. Was there not a,
I had a question.
hold on. All right, yeah, I'm gonna give
Well, we
you.
can share.
No, you can use that. I will want that back though.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Now I'm ready to entertain your question.
Thank you. You said that our meeting's when the 2nd?
Say again?
Our meeting is the 2nd?
Gosh, I
July
hope so,
2nd?
because we've moved everything to the 2nd.
Yeah, we agreed on that before.
It is July 2nd.
We'll all be here.
Or you're doing the promotion as effective to July 3rd, but isn't he gonna get sworn in that night on July 2nd?
He is.
So how are we gonna do it as effective July 3rd? How come it's not gonna be effective July 2nd? What if something happens and he's... Something can happen overnight or after he gets sworn in, he's gonna respond as the as a captain, or is he going to respond as the what's his current role?
Yeah. It should be as soon as he's sworn in.
So he's sworn in.
I would say, yeah.
Should be that day.
Okay,
point.
then we'll change, is there any reason why that's 3 July? All right, we'll make it
Well,
2.
Do we need to
when
make
you
them?
brought in the deputy chief, I believe he was sworn in on one day, effective for the next day when he would actually start work.
Well, that's right.
I guess you can do
You
it.
get
just
sworn in
can't-
that night and you start the next day as that position.
I was just asking. If that's the way you guys do it, I was just wondering.
That's how we've done it in the past, right? Okay, we're gonna
Just-
leave that like it is then. Okay, any other? All right, wait a minute. We've already moved that.
Yeah.
Already,
Yeah.
No
moved,
changes.
seconded,
Okay.
and voted on it.
All right, so that's done. So we're done with, we're done with discussion on that, but does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that's my question. I didn't
Okay,
know.
all right.
If that's tradition. That's tradition. I didn't know.
Okay,
I didn't know if it was an overlook or if that's, yeah.
okay. I'm ready to move on to Zuliani. Is everybody else ready to move on to Zuliani? Okay. Robert Zuliani. I am bringing before you,
Here's
Thank you.
another one.
what's that?
Get another one right here.
Okay, but did you get the,
Nope, just
that
the first,
both
just the
pages?
first page.
Looking at the application.
okay.
I got-
Yeah,
I
you
got
should
both
have the
pages.
application and his
Resume.
Curriculum
his
vitae.
resume, or either CV or his resume, whichever one he has. So anyway, Robert Zuliani is my nomination for the Groton Utilities Commissioner. Shirley Rose stepped down a couple months ago. And I have been talking to Rob, and he has a background in finance. And that is something that I'm trying to bring on into the Utilities Commission to look at our numbers in electric, water, and sewer, and also to help us with numbers when a question arises regarding CMEC. So he is the one that I bring before you.
Sounds like a good choice to me.
Thank you. I thought so. Is there, Councilor Depot?
Is he the current chairman of the Groton Ethics Board?
He is.
Just 'cause it's no
He
dates.
is. He is the current chairman. He was the chair of the board when the Ethics Committee held their meetings regarding the attendance of the Kentucky Derby. He was the chair throughout the entire event.
Make a motion, we move that to the next council.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. The next one that I have is we will need a motion to add William Kelly for the Planning and Zoning Commission to tonight's meeting, to tonight's agenda.
One more time?
So I need, well, hold on, let me pass these out. So you have his name.
You need a motion to suspend the rules to
We
add to
will-
the agenda.
Right.
Make a motion that we amend the rules to change the agenda to include William J. Kelly Jr., 24 Spicer Avenue, to the agenda.
Second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules to add William Kelly to the agenda. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. Okay, this is William Kelly. William Kelly, you have his application and his resume. He has lived in the city before. He moved out, he came back. The way that I came across him is he had some issues with the budgets and with the utilities, and actually in the very beginning was quite critical And I brought him in, we talked to him. Director GODERRE and I talked to him, and by the end of the time, he was satisfied. And as a matter of fact, he said he wanted to get more involved in the city, and I asked him if he would be interested in planning and zoning. He thought about it for a little bit. I sent him some information, sent him the links, and sent him an application. And he has applied, and I bring before you William Kelly, for planning and zoning. And we do need planning and zoning. We just, one person just stepped down. There's another person that is not as active as we would like them to be. I'm going to talk to them, see if they want to step down. We would bring him on as an alternate member and give him some run time before we bring him up as a permanent member. But I think based on his experience and his questioning attitude, he would do well on planning and zoning. That's why I bring him. That's why I am bringing him before you today. With that, I need a motion to move him to the Mayor and Council meeting of July 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to leave the last person in referral 1 for now, because we're going to go into executive session in a minute. And then we will come out of executive session to discuss Dennis. All right. I need an executive session, correction. I need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-206 Alpha to discuss personnel in planning. And in that executive session, it would include the council and Dennis GODERRE.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I also need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-206 Alpha to discuss personnel in police, to include the police chief. Are we going to include Eric or no?
Yes.
Include Lieutenant Jenkins, and to include Sergeant Jason Bruckner, Officer Trish Lito, Officer Jamon Jennings, Detective David Holloway, and Officer Brittany Duclos. Did I miss anyone, Chief?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and the council.
Are we doing it here?
Nope, we're going, hold on. Once I get my motion to say, I'll explain how we're gonna do this. I know where your head's at, because we had the same thing. So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. On discussion, we're going to take them in one at a time. That's why we'll all fit in C8. Is that where you were gonna go?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
All right. Is there any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? We are out of executive session. We're back into regular session. We have one more referral to go to appointments, which is Dennis GODERRE. And I need a motion to move him to the Mayor and Council meeting of July 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. We have nothing else from executive session. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.